J. Cole dissed a rapper on Diss 29, track 5 of the Fall Off. The song is called Poor Thang, and the entire internet got the rapper that he was dissing wrong. Everyone claimed it was a Fayetteville rapper by the name of 910 Space, but in this video, I'm going to explain why it's definitely not him, and I'll also point out Cole's true target. The internet picked the wrong target, and once you see all the receipts, you'll understand why it's not 910 Space. First off, Poor Thang is one of my favorite tracks on this album, and I'm definitely not alone. However, the track raised some eyebrows in reference to who Cole could be talking about because of what he's saying.
Bitch, you more like me than them niggas, you still a geek, punk bitch. You can't hide it with tattoos on your physique, punk bitch.
When a lot of listeners first heard this track, they started trying to link the lyrics to Kendrick and Drake. Even after 2 years, the ripple effect of the battle has still consumed a portion of the culture, so much so that everything seems to be read into as if it's a diss. Some people were saying Kendrick, other people said Drake, but it wasn't related to either one of them. In saying that, I do see where they're coming from because it was clear that Cole was talking to someone, but the question is who?
This nigga back home been talking slick and I done heard him.
Well, in the second verse, he begins to paint the picture for us, and the person that he's addressing is clearly someone that he's known for a long time.
He talk like he lied, but I remember him from high school.
This is someone from back in the high school era. Now, before we get into who this person is and the history behind it, we need to talk about where J. Cole was at during this time in his life. As per Cole himself, Diss 29 tells the story of him returning to his hometown of Fayetteville at the age of 29. We see this with the James Taylor song on the intro, which is basically like this unofficial anthem of Carolina and being homesick.
I started getting homesick and I thought of this song and my home.
By the way, hit the like button and drop a comment for me because that really does help. So it's at this point where he's coming fresh off the success of 2014 Forest Hills Drive and he's still living in New York. Cole basically dropped the album and was at a fork in the road in life, and the path that he decided on was to get engaged, married, and move back to his home state.
And once I knew, I just went and got the ring. Like, it wasn't even I just knew. I also moved from New York to North Carolina.
With all that said, who is Cole talking about on Poor Thang? A lot of people have run with the narrative that it's a Fayetteville rapper by the name of 910 Space, but when you line up the details, it doesn't make any sense, and even Space said himself that he didn't believe the record was about him. His reasoning was pretty simple. None of Cole's shots matched his life. He didn't grow up with both parents, he didn't come up in a nice neighborhood, he grew up in the projects, and he didn't even come up in the same age group because he was older than Cole. Space was very clear in saying that he didn't know J. Cole when they were young and that they didn't go to the same school. In his own words, almost nothing in that song adds up with his situation. And if there's anyone that would love that track to be about, damn, it's that guy, right? But even he hears it and says, like, nah, like, he can't even justify it to himself that it's about him. You got to think this album is following a theme, and Cole is starting us off around 2013, 2014 in his life. 910 Space didn't directly diss J. Cole until 2024 when he urinated on his house, and he also dropped the full-on diss track.
Remember light-skinned Jermaine, swore he knew the game. Got a record deal and he took it to the brain.
Okay, so if it's not 910 Space, then who could Cole be talking to? Well, I believe Cole's true target is an ex-NFL player turned rapper from Fayetteville named Thang. Tank was drafted to the NFL in 2007, and unlike 910 Space, he is the exact same age as J. Cole. They were both born in 1985. Tank played in the NFL for around 4 years before jumping into hip-hop.
I got a chopper in the car, and she spitting number flames. That's about me in the hood, bitch, I bet they know my name.
Due to being from the same city, eventually the two connected, and Tank had high hopes that J. Cole would help promote his music career. When that didn't happen, it seems as though he attempted to extort Cole, and basically told him if he wouldn't do any records with them, then Cole couldn't come back to Fayetteville. It all seemed to start at a nightclub called Speak Easy in the Ville. I can't be 100% sure about the date, but I do know Cole was there on March 1st, 2012. Cole was in VIP that night, and so was Tank Tyler. Apparently, Tank had been texting Cole to try to get him to work on some music, and Cole never hit him back. For that reason, Tank was already feeling away, so when the two met in the club, things started to go left, and it was actually 910 Space who allegedly put things at ease. I know that you see 910 Space dissing Cole over the last couple years, but back at this point, they were actually cool.
He ended up in a situation with Big Tank. They was in there. I went over, spoke to my people from the Merc. They had a VIP. Cole has VIP. I told him, yo, man, y'all leave that shit alone. He with me. He always gonna be with me. And we not doing that.
However, even after that exchange, while Cole was back in New York, Tank allegedly hit him up and said, a collab would benefit us both. I can offer you protection in Fayetteville and in the streets, to which Cole told him to eat a dick. And Cole did this on a Funk Flex freestyle.
Niggas try extorting me to get a verse up out of me. Nigga eat dick, your street shit don't apply to me. I walk around dolo, no security YOLO. So if a nigga plan to put a bullet through my polo, cause I wouldn't help his promo, so be it. Kill you niggas without licking a shot, this Cold War. Soviet, no Vietnam, back in Fayetteville.
You know, this guy might be pretty big, but Cole clearly wasn't about to be threatened by him. He's clearly not afraid of him at all. Due to the freestyle, Tank fired back and dissed Cole on the Let Nas Down beat, titling the track Let the Nom Down. You can see on this track where Tank is reacting to Cole's freestyle.
Said this nigga on Funk Flex sounded like he wanted beef. Could've simply said fuck the street shit, but you replied eat a dick, bitch. And now you let the nom down.
Tank also says that Cole can't just come into Fayetteville and act the way that he's been acting.
Can't any nigga just go run around the Ville flexing.
Tank continues on the track by saying that Cole can't come back to Fayetteville anymore, and that if he does, people will be looking for him, and that he's not even allowed to claim the Ville.
You ain't from the Ville, nigga. You can't even say that shit no more. Don't come back home doing no shows or none of that. The Merc Road niggas gonna be at all your shows, nigga. You should've listened. All for protection, nigga.
So what he said there was that the Merc Road Boys is going to be at every show that you're at, and you can't come back. When Tank talks about the Merc Boys, he's referring to the guys that are from the Murchison Road corridor in Fayetteville. This is a notoriously high crime rate area known for gang activity, and it's also a neighborhood that Cole shouted out on track 3 of the Fall Off, which was Safety. But here's the thing, Tank wasn't from there either, not even close. That diss track from Tank dropped on August 11th, 2013, and at the time, Cole was on a huge tour for Born Sinner. He was touring all over the world, and he only went back to North Carolina one time, and that was in Charlotte. From there, he jumped right into recording Forest Hills Drive, and all that album was recorded in New York and LA, so up to this date, it seems as though Cole had not been back to Fayetteville, and basically the last thing he was told before moving back was that he wasn't safe there anymore. In fact, it was just 4 months after these threats from Tank where Cole turned 29, which perfectly leads into disc 1, which is the start of this album. So with that said, I feel we can now properly break down Cole's Poor Thangs.
This nigga back home been talking slick and I done heard on. Get your name gone, niggas like that gon' throw they dirt on.
So again, sticking with the concept of disc 1, it appears that Cole is not living in Fayetteville yet, as he refers to a guy back home who's talking slick and trying to get his name going. Around this time, Tank was trying to promote his new mixtape.
Talk like he lied, but I remember him from high school.
Although Cole and Tank did go to different high schools, Tank was a football prodigy. Most kids in Fayetteville knew who he was because very few people from the Ville made it to the league, and Tank was a known athlete in the city. Even on the cover of one of the vinyls from the Fall Off, which were all pictures taken by Cole on a disposable camera at age 15, we see E. Smith High School, which was the school that Tank went to, So obviously Cole spent time around this school and had friends that went there.
Plenty nights a nigga didn't eat, punk bitch. Oh, damn, it was on the street, punk bitch.
Cole begins to contrast his upbringing with Tank's, drawing a firm line between the reality of Tank's facade.
Won no Western Unions from you when I needed, punk bitch.
This bar is actually pretty crazy when you think about who Tank was. The guy made it to the NFL. He had a lot of money at one point. So when Cole says weren't no Western Unions, so you weren't needed, I don't think he's just talking about wiring money in general. I think he's hinting at why Tank had value to certain street dudes. Because in that world, Western Union is used to move money around, but you need a guy that's willing to provide their identification. If Tank is sitting there with NFL checks and a name that opens doors, it's not hard to imagine him being some sort of cash cow because he had the resources that other people around him just didn't have. Even in traditional banks, a red flag probably wouldn't get raised as quickly with an NFL player withdrawing or depositing large sums of money. Both Tank's resources and his name could have been extremely useful in many different ways. And when you're someone like Tank, who's literally trying to build an image of a street rapper, like it kind of works for both of them.
Started rolling with niggas that's packing heat, punk bitch. More like me than them niggas, you still a geek, punk bitch.
In the first line, we already saw Tank referred to being around the guys from Murchison Road, an area known for gun violence. Cole claims that Tank is more like him than any of the guys he's around and calls him a geek. Now, Tank is someone that did great in school. Even by his own words from a college profile that I found, he said that he lived close by to some dangerous areas, but that he had people in his life to keep him on track. In fact, Tank even graduated high school a semester early, which means he was clearly focused on his studies and football at the time, and not being in the streets. The guy wasn't in the streets when he was doing amazing in high school, graduated early, went to college, went to the NFL. That just didn't happen. Tank was the Cape Fear Region Player of the Year. He was named an all-conference as a junior. Back in high school, he was definitely pushing weight, but that was a 437-pound bench and a 500-pound squat. The guy just wasn't in the streets. Like he just wasn't. So again, J. Cole made a very valid point with that bar because they both did great in school. They both played sports. They both went to college. Tank is definitely a lot more like J. Cole than those guys from Merck Road.
You can't hide it with tattoos on your physique, punk bitch.
Even during his college years, Tank didn't seem to have a single tattoo, but at a particular point, he definitely started to get some ink on his body. Now, he's not the first guy to get tattoos at a high school, right? A lot of people do, but it does fit what Cole is saying.
And you grew up with both your parents to teach, punk bitch.
One thing that I can confirm for sure is that Tank definitely grew up with two active parents that were able to teach him right from wrong. Just off my research, his mom was a very constant figure in his life, and for his father, he said the following: "Everything about me is in my history box DNA implanted in me from my greatest role model, John Tyler. Happy born day, Dad." So unlike Cole, this guy really did have two parents that were in his life.
You ain't claiming no real section, your street wasn't lit. Man, your shit look like mine with hella tree trunk.
With this, I found that Cole wasn't lying either. I tracked down a couple of Tank's childhood homes, and it was in my research that I discovered they were all surrounded by trees. None of these homes are even close to the Murchison Road corridor, the same people he threatened and tried to extort J. Cole with. And Cole is right, the neighborhoods that Tank grew up in are very similar to that house on Forest Hills Drive. Everything seems to be lining up pretty damn good here.
That's when I started rhyming and making beats, some bitch. Way before you was lying about touching keys.
Cole makes it clear that he has been rapping and producing for a very long time. Tank's passion was football and rap came later. In the second line, he references touching keys, which is a clever play on making beats, but also appears to be a full-blown fact that this guy was lying about his life.
A dope boy duffel bag with the cash in it. Still keep the trap jumping, fuck with me. Just got back from Philly, brought 100 pounds with me from my Camden niggas.
Just like a lot of rappers, the dude is a fraud. Like, you know, he got a clean record, couple speeding tickets. He's a sweetheart. And once Cole got back to the Ville, it seemed like he genuinely wanted to run a fair fight with this guy, but he also knew the people he was around and the type of timing they were on.
Look, I'm back in the Ville so we can see punk bitch. If I take a L, I won't feel no way.
So with all that said, I believe Tank Tyler is the likely person that Cole is talking about on Poor Thangs, because he was bold enough to tell Cole that he couldn't even come back to his hometown. He tried to extort Cole for promotion and threaten him with local goons. Cole clearly wasn't afraid of the guy because he told him to eat a dick and even dropped that freestyle response. This was all around the same time before he decided to move back to Fayetteville. Everyone's running with the 910 space theory, but I don't think it's him. I don't think it's him at all. The interesting thing about Tank is he eventually molded right back into a person who seems spiritually similar to J. Cole. Eventually, it seems like he dropped the street act, and today he comes off as a genuine soul who's living a really healthy and holistic life. He basically went from rapping about moving keys to setting up these stands and selling homemade juice. It seems like at a particular point he got lost in the image of becoming a street rapper, but he was able to pull himself back in.
And I took it and made sea moss, uva ursi, coconuts, and you mix it in a circle of life, and that makes suco, the juice.
With that said, there was one other rapper that he grew up with that I felt I should mention. Someone else that Cole was cool with from Fayetteville while growing up was Rain 910. He definitely knew him for a long time, and Rain is honestly a phenomenal MC out of Fayetteville. This guy's really good.
At the Diamonds International, the ring she picked was classical. Premiered her Dior Riviera one piece on a jet boat. Let's go, that's the game, we're leaving. Well, that's a shame, but with laughter and lack of blame, we put our bags on the plane.
I could see a lot of Pusha influence in this guy, but the guy's definitely dope, which is kind of a perk of doing this. I get to find people like this guy. His music's really dope. However, when Cole got signed, it was around that same era that the issues with Tank were going on, where Rain did kind of throw some dirt on Cole's name.
What's up with you and J. Cole right now, man? What the fuck is going on?
I don't know, man. Like that's a question you really have to ask him, man. Like, you know, you come up with people, you know, you around during the beginning of a nigga career and things they doing, and it's like after a while, it's almost like niggas disappear. Like people just turn into different people. Like.
Now, is this enough for Cole to feel like he wants to fight the guy? I don't think so. You got to understand, in order for me to do this sort of research, the lyrics for these rappers aren't even online. I physically have to listen to their discography to see if I can hear any sort of J. Cole disrespect. And for Rain, I just couldn't seem to find any. This guy definitely did not come from money, and I'm not going to get into his family history, but I don't think he had it all that good growing up from what I'm seeing. Outside of a few interview comments, there's just no direct shots coming from Rain during this era, and nothing that even the locals of Fayetteville seem to pick up on. However, one thing I did find odd was the day that Cole's album dropped, Rain took to Twitter and said, "Candyman doesn't pop out when you mention bees, a trench coat, and a hook. Go in the mirror and say his name." I found this post really interesting. The post only had 2 likes on it when I liked it, and it didn't take long for him to delete it. Rain did grow up with both parents, a father in New York and a mother in Fayetteville, but I don't think it was always that sweet. I did find it interesting that Rain admitted to hanging out with Cole at the skating rink, and we know that was all during the high school era.
Me and Cole, like we came up together, like being in the skating rink together, rapping, freestyling, and then once he got his deal, him like me just locking in with him doing records. We did some records that never were released, and just being in there while he's working on his albums, giving my input or whatever. Like, yeah. But we knew each other since young.
It seems possible that Rain might feel connected to some of these bars, but on Facebook he even said, "I know the sight of blood entertains y'all, but is love until further notice." I'm realizing just how much talent is in Fayetteville because like this Rain dude, going through his discography, the guy's fucking amazing. He's an A-tier rapper. elite. And he could pretty much do it all. As far as 910 Space, outside of the 2024 disses, I was able to find some older shots from him directed at Cole, but it was around 2018.
Illuminati probably run you. It's a cold world, I sun you.
So it's a Cole world and then a diss, obviously towards J. Cole.
And like your biggest fan, here's a round of applause. Don't just clap for him, shoot him off the platform.
Another obvious shot where he's playing off A Star Is Born with Hove and Cole.
Platform, then applaud Hove, he gave him the platform.
One thing that I can be certain about is that 910 Space has zero plans of ever patching things up with Cole, and he even mentioned an encounter that they had, I'm not sure which year, where it sounds like things could have got a bit ugly.
Cole know what we got now.
So would it take like a simple sit down?
No, I ain't sitting down talking. I already did that. I already tried that. He ran. Nah, I ain't gonna go there. I'ma say this. No, we can't sit down and talk no more. Sitting down talking is over with.
The big problem is Space's timeline just doesn't line up with the concept of the album or the theme of the album, right? And he even said himself that it's not about him. And that's the most critical thing to recognize. 910 Space is someone who clearly doesn't need much to engage with Cole. If anyone would love that record to be about them, it's him. But even he can't justify it in his head. As much as he might have searched to try and link that record to himself, even he knows that the person that Cole is describing isn't related to him at all. I'm sure he wishes that the record was about him, but even he's looking at it and saying, I didn't grow up with two parents. Like, I didn't grow up in a nice neighborhood. I'm from the projects. Like, he knows it's not about him. For me personally, I'm putting all my money on Poor Thangs being directed at Tank Tyler because too many pieces of the puzzle fit, and he was bold enough to tell Cole that he couldn't even rep his own hometown, even saying that Cole wasn't safe there. I got lots of Cole content coming. I just kind of got stuck in a rabbit hole with this because it just didn't make sense to me that it was 910 Space. So I went down a crazy rabbit hole, but there's lots more content coming.
Ha, bitch, I'm about to blow up. Say what?